Awesome. Hello, everyone. And I hope you're having an absolutely phenomenal day today. I'm really excited because when it comes to the gift of shift, we're coming at that tail end of our content today. This is session 9. So for those of you that have stuck it out, thank you for sticking it out with me and implementing a lot of these strategies into your business, because we know that as we go through any type of shifting market, it's really important that we get into action quickly, that we have that urgency, because at the end of the day, you need to make sure you have your plan in place, and we need to get more leads, right? We need to get more leads, and we talked a little bit about that. One of the things that I love, so the pages we're going to be starting on, the page that we are starting on today, in 1 second, it looks like we're having a little bit of issue with the link. So let me make sure that we've got that out for everyone, as well as people are trying to get logged on over here. I'm gonna go ahead and copy that really quick and drop that here as well. So one of the things I just wanna note on here, let me make sure I have the right link posted. Give me 1 second, everyone. This is tech happens, right? Tech happens. So I want to make sure that I have that. It looks like there's a couple people that are having some trouble getting on, so I'm just getting them the updated link very, very quickly, and that way we can go ahead and get going. Okay, awesome. Okay, cool. Let me get back to this group so I can make sure I keep an eye on those of you that are watching from the Facebook group as well. But just to kind of get back into it, I see a couple people are jumping in, no worries. Very quickly, and that way we can go ahead and get going. Whoop. Sorry guys, 1 sec. Okay, great. So let's try that again. I see you guys on Facebook. If you have any trouble getting in, no worries. I'm going to be watching the comments on here as well. But to start again, thank you so much for bearing with me. We're excited to have you on for the gift of shift. And one of the things that really stuck out to me on this last chapter, which starts on page 271, is he says, God grant me the serenity to accept the people I cannot change, the courage to change the one I can, and the wisdom to know it's me, right? At the end of the day, when we go out into our business, we talk about having the buyers and the sellers that maybe are a little bit hesitant, right? Or don't have that motivation, or we have, what's going on in the industry. And at the end of the day, we can't change everything that's going on out there right now, right? We can't adjust that. The only thing that we can adjust, the only thing that we're able to change is ourselves. And so he starts off the chapter saying, successful people shift always, continuously, relentlessly, whether it is in response to the market or their own goals. High achievers are always changing, altering, adjusting. This is what their life looks like. Successful people know that they must constantly change and adapt if they are to stay successful. They know life is too big to think small and too short to move slowly. They know there are ups and downs. They know that old endings can give way to new and better beginnings. And they know that to triumph in any situation, they must always do one thing: shift, right? And I think that's so important. And this I think is my favorite chapter of the entire book, right? It's a very strategy oriented book. And yet this chapter is my absolute favorite, because when we look at this business, when we look at the changes that we're going through, we're seeing shifts not only into our day-to-day business, but we're seeing shifts in our life, right? We're seeing shifts in everything that's going on. We're seeing shifts in the education, if you have children, in the education of your children, right? You're seeing shifts in the way that we connect with people, right? In the way that we learn, in the way that we do business, in the way that we socialize. Everything has shifted. And what's interesting, I was talking to a broker about this idea yesterday, and we were kind of sharing some of the things that we're experiencing from an office level. And we shared how, you know, we've both been going through the exercise of cutting expenses. And it begged the question is, what are some of the things that maybe we could have shifted on sooner, right? How is this going to impact us moving forward? Because like I've been saying, it's business as usual in an unusual way. But the truth of the matter is that irregardless of when the safer at home order is lifted, irregardless of when things go back to quote unquote normal, right? This is the new normal. There is going to be changes. Our clients are going to see the new things that we've been able to offer them through video and some of the new solutions that have come up, and they're going to want it, right? And this is across the board in every business. And so it's just important for us to realize that sometimes shifts happen and sometimes we make them happen. And as this shift has happened in our life, in the economy, and the momentum, we want to make sure that we make those same changes for ourselves in our own personal shift. So I want to go and note to page 272. He says, I believe it's fair to say that no matter your circumstances, things can be easy or they can be hard, depending on you. You'll decide, right? He also talks about being careful what we wish for, right? Being careful what we wish for. When Gary went through his first shift, he said, he sat across from his wife one day and he said, I wish that I could close my eyes. And when I opened them, we were past this shift. And as soon as the comment was out of his mouth, right? As soon as the comment was out of his mouth, he said, I take that back. I don't want that. Because if we fast forwarded to the end of the shift, there's other things that we lose. And for him, he said, you know, even in tough times, there is much to savor. He said, my dog, Max, was getting up in age and we were both having a wonderful time with him. The shift would be over, but he might be gone. Our son, John, was 16 and we loved having him with us. The shift would be over, but he'd be in college, never to live at our home again. My mom was doing great, but she wasn't young anymore. The shift would be over, but she might not be doing as well, right? Take nothing for granted. Assume nothing. Appreciate every moment for what it is. Take the good with the bad. That's what's so important as we learn through this experience, right? As we learn through this experience is that we change and we change with it, but we can't take the opportunities that we've been given with us for granted. What we have is perfect, right? In its own way. And so we have to take the good and the bad, the hard and the easy. It works together to shape the person that we become. We don't want to wish our life away. We want to embrace every moment. And they share a story about the farmer. And I know I've shared this in our first meeting, and I want to come back to this story because I think it's so important that we look at this. As he said, many years ago, this is an agent Taoist tale. He says, many years ago, there lived a farmer who toiled daily in his fields. And one day, without warning, his prized horse, the one he relied on to work the land, well, the horse ran away. And when the news reached his neighbors, the neighbors arrived at the door to offer consolation. And they said, what bad luck that your prized horse ran away. And he said, maybe. And the following morning, it ends up, his horse had returned, and with it had come 2 wild horses. And so now, instead of just 1 horse, now he has 3. And upon hearing the news, his neighbor said, what good luck? And he said, maybe. And the next day, while he was trying to tame one of those wild horses, the farmer's son was thrown and injured his leg, right? And badly injured his leg. And again, the neighbors came forward with their opinion, and they said, what bad luck? And he said, maybe. And a day later, officials from the military came looking for young men to fight in battle. And because the farmer's son was badly injured, they did not ask him to enlist. And the neighbors came back with their opinion, and they said, such good luck. And the farmer said, maybe. Because in reality, whether it's a good thing or a bad thing happens, there's a silver lining for everything, right? There's a silver lining for everything, should we choose to see it. And so right now is the time for us to choose to embrace the opportunity that we have in front of us during the shift. To go back and review through the 12 tactics. So there's a lot that we've gone over the past few weeks, right? In the past 8 sessions or so. The first is to get real about your situation and get right about what we need to be doing, right? So we need to get real and we need to get our mindset right. This is very mindset based, right? And we need to know that we need to create that clarity and that focus in our business, right? So we want to get real. We want to get right. We know that there's certain things that we cannot do. That's the reality of the situation. And yet we know that there's opportunity in front of us. And that's where we have to keep our mindset as positive as possible. Second, if you haven't already, right, we went through this exercise very in depth in our first meeting, but we need to remargin our business, get serious about our expense management and our profitability, and cut expenses, right? Cut expenses. We want to be very, very accountable to what we're spending money on, right? We want to be really accountable to what we're spending money on. If you guys remember the exercise that I went through with you guys at the beginning, was the 3 highlighters. The green one is disappearing, right? Sorry about that, guys. That's a green screen back there. So 3 highlighters, your green, your pink, and your yellow, and go through your statements, right? Anything that you know you absolutely must have, that's your green, right? Anything that's a maybe, that's the yellow. Anything that you know you need to cut, since we don't have red highlighters, that's our pink, right? We want to make sure that we're decreasing those expenses, and anything that we're noting in yellow, we want to make sure that we're holding it accountable to the return, right? To the return that it's going to give us. If you've done this already, do it again, right? If you've done this already and you've gone through your expenses, do it again, because things change, or we realize, you know what, maybe on first glance, I thought, hey, I really need this. And the truth is that we don't. Or, hey, 2 weeks ago, I was really using this, or a month ago, I was really using this, but right now I'm not, right? And right now I can cut this expense temporarily. And anything that you do have to have as an expense, anything that, you know, you can't cut right now, that's okay. We just want to see, are there different ways to get it lower? Are there ways that I can be creative about this, right? Are there ways that I can manage this a little bit better? But we want to make sure that we are really holding our money accountable right now, right? That we have the reserves, because we know it's going to take a little bit as we continue to work on our pipelines. Third, we want to learn to do more with less, right? We need to maximize our productivity, focusing on the core competencies of the business. We need to be lead generating every single day. We talked about doubling down on that piece of it, but we also want to make sure that we are maximizing our productivity and doing more with less when it comes to the way that we work with our people and the way that we work with our technology, okay? This is that time to really streamline and tighten those pieces in place. Fourth, focus on your lead generation, right? Focus on your lead generation. It's about finding motivated clients. And what do we talk about? There is no real estate emergencies, right? There's things that happen, absolutely. And yet we need to time block with our one thing in mind, right? There's nothing that should come in the way of your lead generation time. You want to master the task and the scripts of your lead generation methods. So here's the other piece I want to note on that, right? Is when we talk about lead generation, when we talk about what we're doing from that activity standpoint, right? Not only do we want to make sure that we are time blocking our lead gen, we want to make sure that we're working on increasing our efficiency, our effectiveness. So if you haven't been doing scripts and role play, even if you've been in the business for a long time, right? What happens? The market changes, the scripts are different, the conversation is different. So even if you've been in the business a while and you know your scripts, you want to make sure that you're getting on scripts and role play again, right? You want to make sure that you are blocking out time for that before your calls, and so you can continuously increase that skill set around it, right? And that's part of it. Fifth, memorize and internalize the conversion process and the scripts to not only lead capture, to connect, and to close, right? And make sure everyone around you, your team, does the same. Never assume you have the lead into your appointment, right? Never assume you have the lead into your appointment. And so we want to make sure that we're getting really tight on our scripts, but not just our scripts to capture the lead. This is also through the conversion process, right? And the connection process. We want to make sure that we're really internalizing that, and we're mastering those scripts that are to the market of the moment. So a couple of those scripts that we talked about, that just not now scripts, right? Pricing scripts, right? Pricing scripts. The buyer that's saying just not right now script. We want to make sure that we're mastering that. 6, catch people in your web and focus on your internet strategy on capturing contact information. Everything else it does is important but secondary. You want to offer that thin bait, right? Rapid response is your standard. So catching people in your web, this is utilize your app, utilize the Facebook marketing, utilize your agent website to capture leads. I loved that Luis Mendoza shared that he ran an ad and he captured 3 seller leads, not just buyer leads. He captured 3 seller leads, right? Which is great from one of the Facebook ads that he ran, right? Utilize the smart plans to help you respond quickly. And remember that, funny enough, this book was written in 2008, 2009, and talked about internet lead generation. And yet now more than ever, that's a huge part of our business. So we want to make sure that we're catching people on our web. 7, master seller pricing. So your listings are always in the market. Really understand how to show your clients the financial risk of being overpriced and missing the window of opportunity and chasing the market, right? Build those price reductions into your agreements up front. Build the price reduction into your agreement up front, right? 8, master staging strategies so your sellers stand out from the competition. Show them how to clean up, repairs, cosmetic improvements, and now they decrease the time on market so you can get a high number of offers, right? We want to make sure that we're not only are we pricing it correctly, but we're presenting the listing in the best light possible, right? We want to present the listing in the best light possible. 9, help buyers overcome reluctance and acquire genuine urgency. We need to be the local economist of choice. Are you sharing the numbers that we're talking about on a weekly basis with your clients? Are you giving them updates about what's going on in the market, right? Are you sharing those things with them? Are you giving them buyer best lists? Are you utilizing the agent sites portion of properties that have been price reduced in the last 7 days? Are you using that? Are you using the saved searches to create that urgency, right? 10, build creative financing teams around you so that you can be very creative in your financing, right? What are your options for your clients when it comes to buying down the rate? What are some of the concessions that might be able to be made in order to make sure a client can move forward on a purchase? Are your sellers willing to do any type of seller financing if they have a high amount of equity in their property, right? What are some of these creative financing solutions that you can put into place? Are you leveraging free mortgage? Even as a conversation piece if you're not utilizing it, right? But Keller Mortgage and the free mortgage, no origination, no underwriting, no processing fee, would that make the difference for one of your clients, right? Would it make the difference for one of your clients? Or might it start a conversation for one of your clients, right? And then look at what programs are still available. Make sure you stay up to date on what programs are still available. 11, participate in the market of the moment. We've been talking about this one a lot, right? We talked about this in our meeting, the training on Tuesday, right? Is what is the market of the moment? What is the market that we have access to right now, right? That might be the market of the moment might be, let's see, your absentee owners is a big one that we're talking about right now, right? We're seeing a lot of absentee owners that are wanting to do something, right, to avoid the inconvenience and maybe sometimes the financial hardship of a renter not being able to pay, right? And so maybe they need to liquidate some of their assets. In the future, not necessarily right now, but we want to start those conversations. Financial distress, unfortunately, like we've mentioned, there are going to be clients that need your help. That'll probably come a little bit later, but right now is that time to get into relationship with them, right? Listings on office and retail is probably going to be a big market, at least when we're seeing on the commercial side, right? We're seeing on the commercial side. And of course, some of the regular markets that always need to move, right? Clients that maybe are getting up there in age and they want to downsize, have something with less maintenance, right? Or maybe they're moving to a different state, job changes where he will need a seller buy, right? Those things still happen. They're still occurring right now. And so we want to make sure that you're really looking at those pieces as well. and that you're participating in that market of the moment, right? In that market of the moment. And number 12, bulletproof every single transaction, right? Bulletproof your transaction, understanding deadlines, understanding some of the changes that you should be making in your contracts right now, right? What are some of the adjustments? What are some of the clauses that should be written in, right? What are some of the things that we're keeping an eye on with our vendors, right? What are some of the ways that we might be able to work through and negotiate with the seller or the buyer, depending on what's going on through the deal, so that they don't fall out of escrow? Are you sitting down with the other agent as soon as escrow opens to come up with a strategy to keep both parties on the same page, especially if the agent on the other side of the transaction has never gone through a shift or is not getting educated on shift strategies right now, right? Is not getting educated on shift strategies right now. This book is your manual, guys. This book stays on your desk because there's checklists in here. There's different opportunity. I see that. I see your book right there, and I love it. You've got the tabbed version, my favorite. And it's so important, right? Because you guys would be surprised on how many pages in here I have earmarked. It looks like a confetti with all the colors that I have highlighted and all the underlined pieces and all the pieces that are tagged. But the truth of it is that, you know, when we're looking at what are the different opportunities to bulletproof a transaction, there's only so much that you can remember in your head. And sometimes flipping to that section of the book and really just looking down that list, or looking at the list on creative financing, or looking at the checklist to close that's in here, right? All of the different pieces that are in here are meant to help tackle those items. And the secondary part is make sure that you're talking with us, right? Rich, myself, Jason, we've been on calls with so many of you to share strategies for how do you bulletproof the transactions that you have? How do you help negotiate with the clients that you have right now, right? You've got a client that's getting a little bit of cold feet or is asking for a reduction. How do we ask for that reduction? And how do we communicate why right now is the time to make that change? What are some of the creative things that we can do to keep our buyers in first position, even if they've got a little bit of a delay, right? Even if they got a little bit of a delay in moving forward. So we want to make sure that we're really employing that step-by-step process, that we're utilizing the checklist and the resources that are available to us in this book, that we're tabbing those pages, that anytime I'm thinking, oh my gosh, I have this transaction and unfortunately there's some type of change going on, or there's some type of challenge, it's what is the plan, right? Focus on the solution, not the problem, right? Focus on the solution, not the problem. And I guarantee you that there are solutions for objections, not necessarily for conditions, right? Not necessarily for conditions. And yet, and so I want to make sure that you guys are noting a couple of those things. And remember that this is a never-ending process, right? We've been given a great opportunity to continue to increase our skill set and increase it very quickly. These type of shifts are a little bit more difficult at the front end, and yet we know that over time, this is the opportunity we have to capture your unfair share of the market, right? You have the opportunity to capture your unfair share right now, which is a huge opportunity. So as I note on this, no matter which way a shift is going, no matter what happens over the next 120 days, over the next 6 months, what I know is that the tactics and strategies of this in this book come in handy no matter the market, right? No matter the market. And the other piece that I want to note is this. You know, on page 279, Gary says, act your wage. Act your wage. To successfully implement the 12 tactics, you must act your wage. This means we must think and act the wage we want before we can earn it. Average is as average does. Good is as good does. And great is as great does. What you do is who you become, right? What you do is who you become. So I used to, I remember driving down in LA, and there's this big pink building in LA, and it has a quote on it, like a graffiti mural, And it says, I'll see it when I believe it. I'll see it when I believe it. And I love, what he shares right here in this part of the book, because a lot of times, what do we hear? Well, I'll believe it when I see it, right? What does somebody say? The skeptics say, I'll believe it when I see it, right? I'll believe it when I see it. And yet there's so much out there that we can't see, right? That we don't, because our perception is our reality. And so we don't allow ourselves to see it. And what I've always loved about this mural, and anytime I've ever passed by this mural, and I see this giant quote that says, I'll see it when I believe it. Right? I'll see it when I believe it. And if you were on the call this morning with Ida, right, she shared about having fear and then changing that to faith, and having faith in the business, and having faith that she could help her clients, and having faith that she was going to be able to move forward. And from 1 week to the next, saw massive activity, right? Was able to put 2 clients in escrow, was able to take a listing, has 16 active buyers because of the faith component. And so when we look at this, what we do is who we become, right? We have to think and act our ways before we can earn it. We have to believe that we can achieve it, right? And we have to put in the work and do the activities that are going to help us get there, right? So I really want you guys to believe that piece, because a lot of times he says he visited a real estate agent, and he was visiting with a real estate agent, and he made the comment, I think you're a $50 million a year producer masquerading as a $10 million a year producer, because they have amazing potential, but are thinking smaller. This is why Gary wrote the Millionaire Real Estate Agent book, right? It wasn't to say everybody has to go out there and make $1 million. It's so that we don't learn and implement the habits, right? The habits of a smaller producer, so that there's room to grow, right? We want to implement and think the habits of the $1 million producer. We want to build the systems of the $1 million producer. We want to build the business of the $1 million producer. So regardless of where we are, we know that that's a possibility for us, right? Without having to completely reinvent ourselves. And so I will share with you guys, mindset is so big, right? Mindset is such a huge thing. That's why it's the first tactic. Think real, get right, right? Get real, get right. And so I know I'm harping on that piece a little bit, but I think that's extremely, extremely important, right? Extremely important. The other thing that he talks about is the speed of need, not the need for speed, right? The speed of need. We need to work simple, right? We need to work simply and work on the things that matter the most. And so right now, a lot of times we want to do everything. We want to get everything done, right? We want to finish everything. We want to have our entire process in place before we take action. We want to know all the answers before we make the calls. And right now, the most important thing that we could be doing is taking action on having care and compassion and common sense with our clients, right? Of getting into conversation with our clients and not worrying about all of the other moving parts. We want to get into conversation with our clients. We want to get them into database and get them set up, but we want to get into those conversations is the first step, the number one most important piece, right? So that's going to be really big, is that we need to be really clear about what we desire, and then we can get really clear on the speed we need to achieve that. We fail our way to success. So if you are not getting no's, if you are not getting people that are like, I don't want to talk right now, then if you are not having conversations, if you are not feeling like nervous, right? It's okay. It's just, we need to be having the conversations, right? And there's nervousness that comes, there's fear that comes, there's call reluctance that comes with that. And we have to work through that. I heard somebody say something really big, is growth happens outside of the comfort zone, right? Growth happens outside of our comfort zone. And in the growth zone, there is no comfort, right? In the growth zone, there is no comfort. So if you're feeling uncomfortable, if you're feeling like, hey, I'm failing a little bit, right? That's great. You're failing forward. That's great because you're growing, right? That's great because you're in activity, you're in motion, and you're going to break through. it's kind of like going to the gym. So I'm going to share this because I think it's an interesting, metaphor. But when we go back to the gym, what happens? If we've been off for a long time, how are we all going to feel when after this safer at home order ends, we go back to the gym, right? If you haven't been exercising at home and all of a sudden you start lifting weights and it's hard, right? You can't do as many reps as you could do before. Your muscles are feeling sore. It's hurting, whether you're doing lifts, you're doing squats, whatever it is, you've got the barbell and you're working out and you feel sore, right? What happens the next day? I know I felt this, right? You get so sore sometimes that I think the worst for me was when I went back and I started my challenge. Walking down the stairs in the parking lot in heels was very painful, right? I'm holding on to the rail and making sure that I'm not gonna lose my step because it's painful. Your legs feel like jelly, your arms hurt, you get that shakiness. And the first couple days after you start working out are the worst, right? And when we come out of this safer at home order, we're gonna feel that, right? It's gonna feel the worst that it's ever felt. Your muscles are gonna be sore, you're gonna have a hard time walking. Well, what happens if you keep going? If you keep going, now it's week 2, now it's week 3, right? And you're getting stronger and your muscles are growing and you're getting that muscle memory. The activities are easier, right? It's easier to go and do the reps. Maybe you challenge yourself a little. Maybe you add a little bit of extra weight. You have better endurance, right? And you might be sore, but can't walk the next day sore, right? You're not arms shaking the next day sore. You're sore, but not as sore as you were. That's business, right? When we look at it and we look at this reluctance that we have to do the activities, well, the first day, there's going to be a little bit of that challenge, right? And the second day, maybe it's still a little bit scary. And as we continue to get in the habit of doing the activities and doing them consistently and working through that, well, what happens? It gets a little bit easier. We get a little bit more comfortable and we push ourselves to keep growing, right? So I want you to hold yourself accountable to that growth and hold each other accountable and allow us to hold you accountable to that growth, right? To that mindset is that we're just working the muscle. The muscle here is just a little bit different, right? It's the conversation. The muscle here is the connection. The muscle here is making sure that you stay consistent with your activities. And the first couple days, it's going to be hard, right? The first couple days, it might be a little challenging. And when you keep on going, it gets easier and it gets easier. Yeah, maybe you're a little sore, but you keep on going and you keep on growing, right? And so on page 282, he says, the real estate business has always been cyclical. If you're going to be successful over the long haul, you will prepare for those cycles and find opportunities. Your determination, preparation, and implementation will put you on the right path to your goals. You will consistently be in step with the consumer and ahead of your competitions. Others may see things as good times and bad times. You will only see them as opportunity time, right? It's opportunity time. There's no good time and bad time. There simply are opportunity time, right? We succeed when we celebrate the little wins, right? We succeed. Life is still about the basics and mastering them. 2 + 2 still equals 4. That doesn't change, right? The business is the same. Our shift is the opportunity to get ahead. And time is going to reward those that are putting in the effort and doing the activity and those that are resilient. Now, this quote I think is so important. Success never comes to the chosen few. Success never comes to the chosen few. Success comes to those who choose. There can be the worst of times, there can be the best of times, but you get to choose. And so I encourage you to choose success. I see, Diana, do you want to come off of mute and share that, or would you want me to read it?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah. Hi, you love my background? I have to feel that.
Vacation time.
Yeah, I wanted to share because I saw this interview with Mo Anderson just recently, and Rich had shared it, and I wanted to share something that she mentioned, and it was the biggest aha, and basically what you're saying. So I want to share what I said. She said, when you are on top of the mountain, you see the view, a great view. But where you grow is down in the valley, is where you struggle in order to get to the top of the mountain. So people have to go through the struggle, and that's where character is built, and that's what makes you who you are. That was huge. So whatever it is that we're struggling and whatever it is that we're going through, we're going to see that light in the tunnel. You know how people say that term? You know, we will get to that top. And I think we are at the top, because why? Because we are here right now. We're in this training, we're going through all this experience, we're still talking to people. I mean, I'm seeing the light. I'm going to see the light. So that's what my aha was with Mo Anderson there.
I love it. Thank you so much for sharing that. I think that's a really powerful share.
Right? Yeah, and just one thing regarding mindset, she did mention that when you change your mind, your circumstances change. So there you go.
Or we see things a little bit differently. We have an opportunity to really see the beauty in everything that's going on. Right. It's interesting. It's you know, as I talk with different people and I have these different conversations, there's a fear that comes from, oh, I don't want to bother people right now because, you know, they're at home, or they're not worried about business, or they're not worried about these things. And yet when we change it to, we're not transactional, we're about the relationship.
Absolutely.
Right? This is not, I know that there's real estate coaches out there, and this has always been something that I've struggled with, is the ones that are like, hey, call them, find out if they want to buy or sell, and then move on to the next one, right? I don't work transactionally, because I think that's, you know, you can work that way, and you're always going to be in the grind, right? It's a numbers game. So will you find business? Absolutely, right? There's always business out there, but that's very much, when we look at the numbers game, that's, I happen to get in front of the right person at the right time. And especially now when there's so many restrictions on things like certain calls that we can make and all of these different things that are out there, to work a transactional business that may have worked, you know, a decade ago, that's not this business of the future, right? This business of the future is now, it's not, let me call my database and see what I can find in there. Let me call these people and see what I can find and find my next deal. And it really goes back to that abundance versus the scarcity mindset. Is that's a very scarce mindset, is I have to find the next transaction. I have to find the next check, right? And when people go into survivor mode, and I'll know, right, we all know that in this business, you have to do deals in order to make an income. We're commission based. And yet we have to come from that abundance mindset, right? Is that just the way that as agents, maybe we're struggling, we have a very unique opportunity to not just find the light at the end of the tunnel, but to be the light at the end of the tunnel for somebody else. We have the opportunity to be the light at the end of the tunnel for somebody else. We have the opportunity to completely change their trajectory, right? Whatever they're going through, whatever might be happening in their life, how many of them have questions right now? How many of them need to hear from their real estate agent? How many of them just want a little bit of reassurance right now, right? It's about providing service before sales. And I promise you, I guarantee this, I would, you know, stake my business and everything on this, is that when we lead with service, when we lead with care, when we lead with compassion, when we connect and truly build a relationship. And what I mean by relationship is not, I call them once and then they never hear from me again, right? Is when we truly build the relationship, I promise you that business will come, right? I know it. I know it, because that's how the top producers do what they do. It's the relationship. It's just they're caring, and they're caring with consistency. They're caring, and they're caring with consistency, and they're caring for a lot of people. And they're consistent because they have a system to do that, right? I don't know about you guys, but talking with as many people as I'm sure you all talk to a day, it's very hard sometimes to remember every single person. That's why we use systems, right? That's why we have models. But the goal here is I would rather do business consistently with people that I know, like, want to work with, right? That need help, than consistently be searching and hunting for the ones that you know I'm not going to be able to build that long-term relationship with, or it's just one transaction. I mean, the beautiful thing that I see in this business is when you have a client, and I don't remember who sent this to me recently. I had one of my past clients and they sent me a picture of their daughter, right? They, just to show me, just to say, hey, you know, I thought you would like to see this, and it's a picture of their child. Or somebody gives birth. How many of your clients, they give birth and they share with you a picture of their new baby, right? Or they send you a message that's like, hey, you gave my family a home, right? Or they get their next property and they're doing upgrades and they want to show you the upgrades they just did on their home. Or they have a birthday or a party or a wedding and they invite you because you've been an integral part of their life, right? That's the relationship. That's the business that we have the opportunity to have. Is we change people's lives in this industry. We change people's lives in good times and in bad. And in good times, it feels easier. In good times, it feels easier. In bad times, they need it more. Okay? In bad times, it feels harder, but they need it more. They need you. So when you don't make that call, when you don't implement, is who is missing the help that they need because you got scared? Who's missing the support that they need because we're nervous, right? It's simple. It's not always easy. It's simple, right? But we have a responsibility to our clients by the profession that we've chosen to be in, to be of service. And we're not always going to know all of the answers, and that's okay, right? You find out what they need and you can plug it in. You can go find that answer for them, but you need to have that relationship with them, right? There is immense opportunity available to all of you right now. I am so excited for all of you that are consistently taking action, because I see it. I know Vicky was on here earlier and she had shared that, you know, the care calls and the messages that she's been sending out, that she had somebody respond, right? Steve shared that as well, that he was sending out text messages and he had someone that was so thankful, right? You've got the people that are thankful right now that are going to be business later, that are the ones that are going to be like, you know what? I can't sell right now. I can't buy right now, but my friend does. And I told them how great you were and how much you care about your clients, right? That's the opportunity we have right now, is really building that moat. So I want to know, I'm going to come back to this quote: success never comes to the chosen few, but the few who choose. And I know that those of you are here, those of you that are watching on the Facebook from home, I see you guys. I see you guys in the comments over there. Thank you too. And those of you that are even watching the recording, is the one thing I ask is to choose. Just choose. Choose to succeed. Choose to succeed. Make the choice to do the activities. And I know that if you choose and you implement and you do those activities, that you will find the success that you're looking for. And if you need that support, ask. If you need the help, ask. If you're having trouble with the client, I don't know what to say, ask. That's what we're here for, right? That's what we're here for. So with that, I am wrapping up. We finished shift. That does not mean we stop reading shift, you guys. This is staying on my nightstand. This is staying on my desk right now, especially since they're so close together right now for a little while still. I know many of you are enrolled in Bold, right? This is perfect timing that we end shift now, because we're transitioning right into Bold next week, starting on Tuesday, right? I know there's also going to be Coaching Corner that's happening on Monday and Wednesday, and then Tuesdays and Thursdays is going to be the actual material. You want to make sure that you time block that in your calendar, right? That you time block that in your calendar. And if you have not signed up yet, if you're hesitating on signing up, if you're not sure, if you're a little bit, you're not sure, you have questions still, please reach out, right? Do not miss this opportunity to get the momentum started. This is a game changer. Bold this year, there are over 25,000 participants that are going to be on it. Over 25,000 people building that momentum together. It's open to everyone, right? We've had agents take it, guest agents. It's open to anyone from any company. We've had vendors take it. I think the most interesting story was a flower vendor that took it. But even your clients that are out there, if they run small businesses and they want some support, yes, it's real estate specific, but that doesn't mean they can't implement the strategies or get their mindset right, right? So we have vendors that have taken it and take it. We've had so many people in different businesses because it's about building accountability, right? It's about working the muscle, right? Working the muscle. And so it's a little uncomfortable up front, just like going to the gym. Right? It's just like going to the gym, and what we're all going to be feeling in a couple of weeks when we're able to go back to the gym, right, is might be a little bit wobbly in the beginning, and that's okay because we're working that muscle. We're building that skill set. And so questions, that you have about it, definitely reach out to us. I'm so excited about Bold right now. You have no idea. It's going to be absolutely phenomenal. Everything that I've heard about it, everything that we've been talking about on the leadership time, this is the place to be. 20,000 people. That's bigger than any of the conferences, any of the national trainings that are out there. This is the biggest training event right now, right? And it's specific to the market that we're in. Because like I said, there's 3 types of people, right, that we talk about in Shift. There's the one that thinks the sky is falling and this is the end of the world. And I'm not that person, right? I don't think this is the end. There's the one that is super positive and they don't anticipate change, right? And they just think it's all going to go back the same way it was. Everything business as usual, everything's normal. And I'll be honest, I'm not that person either, right? Because the truth of the matter is I'm person 3, and I hope that many of you are, is the third person says, I see what's happening. I acknowledge that there's change and I take action, right? And I take action to shift and to pivot and to change too, right? Is that I anticipate the worst and I hope for the best. And I prepare to make sure that I can move forward in either, right? And that's the person that we are, right? It's the person that success doesn't come to the chosen few, it comes to those who choose. And I don't know about you guys, and I know that by being on this call, I know what you're choosing. By being enrolled in Bold, I know what you're choosing and the commitment that you're making to yourself and your families, right? I choose success. And I want to make sure that we all, hold each other up together. So with that, you guys, I thank you so much. 9 sessions, right? Thank you for being on here with me for the past couple weeks. We're going to keep going, right? There's still a lot to do. And we're here to support you in whatever you might need. So make sure you go out and start the implementation. And don't forget, I know that there's a CRMLS training for those of you that need it coming up right after this. And then at 5 p.m., we're meeting the baby, right? So make sure you join us for a little while, because we all need to connect outside of just learning. We want to learn, we want to have action, we want to have implementation, and sometimes we just need to have socializing too, right? And so come meet the newest member of our KW family, baby Jay Lee, and just come and enjoy and spend some time with us. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And thank you guys for Tech Happens, right? And thanks for dealing with the technical difficulties. And I see all of you that are on the Facebook Live as well. And those of you that are watching the recording, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I wish you guys the absolute best. I will see you guys later today.